Ch11 The red clouds appear. It had been 3 days since Naruto had gone with Jiraiya and things were looking great for the blonde. He was already trying to do the second step of the Rasengan training, which consisted of making a rubber ball explode with chakra. The first step had been finished in only 2 days since Naruto already knew how to mold and shape chakra from all his training with wind manipulation. Jiraiya had been impressed and showed him the second step a few hours later. Naruto was bored of walking down the same long road and wondered why they didn't just run all the way there. He knew that Jiraiya was capable of doing it but wondered why he chose not to. He guessed that the sage wanted to give him more time to train on the Rasengan, but he knew that it wouldn't be the only reason for taking their time getting there. The blonde sighed, he was bored out of his mind. He was still trying to do the second step of the training, but seeing the same scenery for days irritated him. "When will we get there, Jiraiya-sensei?" Naruto asked with a whine. He put the rubber ball away and crossed his arms. "We've been on the same road for days, shouldn't we be there by now?" Jiraiya sighed. "Seriously, kid, can't you shut up for a few minutes?" The sage rubbed his head and closed his eyes. "You've been pestering me on the same thing for hours and I keep telling you that we'll dash. Get there, when we get there," Naruto interrupted with a pout. "That's getting annoying, sensei." "Just quiet down already," Jiraiya said with a groan. "We're almost there, all right?" Naruto smiled. "Why didn't you say so in the first place?" The blonde cheered and chuckled. "If we get to the village, then that means that I won't have to eat your cooking anymore." "What's wrong with my cooking?" Jiraiya asked with a smile. "I can't be that bad." Getting only a blank stare as a reply, Jiraiya face faulted. "You don't have to be so blunt about it, kid." Naruto rolled his eyes and focused back on the rubber ball. He hadn't made any progress on it and tried to think of what was wrong. Like with the water balloon, he had been spinning chakra in all directions but nothing seemed to happen. "Maybe if I add more chakra to spin, the ball will pop," the blonde thought. With a determined look in his eye, Naruto poured chakra into the ball. Now came the hard part, spinning the chakra. He had always had trouble with controlling large amounts of chakra. He assumed that every ninja had this problem and blamed it on his bad chakra control. The blonde spun the chakra in all directions and closed his eyes in concentration. The rubber ball began to shake lightly before shaking uncontrollably almost instantly. Jiraiya watched Naruto with an analyzing eye. The blonde was close to popping the rubber ball, but the last push was always the hardest. He was proud of his new apprentice. Naruto was proving to be quite capable. "He'll get far," Jiraiya thought with a proud smile. "Come on." Naruto focused on spinning the chakra and soon heard a small deflating sound. He opened his eyes and saw that he had made a small hole on the rubber ball. "I'm still not getting it," he thought with a frown, "but at least I made some progress." "That was good, Naruto," Jiraiya said with a grin. The blonde grinned back and scratched the back of his head. "Take a rest and continue your training later." "I can still go," Naruto argued with a frown that soon turned into a smile when he saw a village in the distance. "We're here." "It was about time." Jiraiya nodded. "I should get some information on Tsunade's whereabouts here," the toad sage said with his arms crossed. "When we get there I'll need to go see my contacts alone." Naruto nodded with a smile. "Do whatever you want. When I get there, I plan on finding the nearest ramen stand." The blonde couldn't take it anymore and ran off towards the village. Jiraiya watched the blonde leave with a frown. "Too bad he already left," he said with a sigh. His money reserves were low and he had seen how full Naruto's wallet looked. "I might as well get going." "Aren't you glad to be back home?" asked a man wearing a black cloak with red clouds. His face was covered by a straw hat and there was a wrapped sword strapped to his back. "I have closed all ties with that place." "Don't ask meaningless questions, Kisame," said another man wearing a similar attire to the first. "Let's just execute our mission." "It's a shame we can't capture the 9 tails yet," Kisame said with a grin visible on his face. "I don't understand why we have to monitor its progress." "It is always better to be prepared. Since we are unable to seal the 9 tails at the moment, we have made sure he doesn't surprise us when the time comes." The man raised his face to see Konoha, only a few minutes awake. The Sharingan could be seen under the shadow of the straw hat and the man began to walk. "Let's go, Kisame." Kisame followed after Itachi with a smirk on his face. He hoped to find a person he could fight. It had been far too long since he last fought someone of high level. Konoha was known for its strong ninjas and Kisame looked forward to fighting some of those ninja. "Come on, Naruto!" Jiraiya exclaimed as he threw a punch. The blonde ducked under the strike and countered with a kick. Jiraiya blocked the kick with his knee and delivered a punch to Naruto's face, making the blonde cry in pain. The blonde fell on the ground but rolled to the side when he saw Jiraiya's leg about to stomp him. Naruto stood back up and jumped in the air when he took note of Jiraiya's fist going towards him. Naruto flipped in the air and landed on the ground with a crouch before leaping towards the sage. The blonde threw a punch but his eyes widened when Jiraiya simply leaned to his right to avoid the attack. He was helpless as he sailed through the air and received a hard blow to the ribs for his mistake. Naruto got the wind knocked out of him and plummeted to the ground. "I told you not to charge in like an idiot," Jiraiya scolded with a frown. It had been 3 days since they arrived at their destination and had been staying in a hotel. There was not much information on Tsunade, so Jiraiya met with a few of his contacts and had them see what they could find in neighboring villages. The two had been training on Naruto's taijutsu for the past 2 days, and because Jiraiya's contacts were gathering information on Tsunade, the sage didn't have anything to do. Since they were stuck in town until his contacts were back, Jiraiya had decided to help Naruto improve his taijutsu. Naruto's training consisted of spars with nothing but taijutsu. This had been going on for 2 days and Naruto was learning fast. A shinobi must always keep a cool head when in battle, remember that. Naruto groaned as he got into a kneeling position. His ribs were in pain and he felt exhausted. The blonde managed to smile despite himself. This was one of the things Naruto actually liked about training with Jiraiya. The sage didn't go easy on him. "Got it, Jiraiya-sensei," he responded through pants. He tried to stand but winced at the pain on his ribs. Jiraiya grinned. He was impressed with Naruto's progress in taijutsu. "That was good, you're improving, kid," the sage said as he extended a hand to Naruto. The blonde looked at the hand oddly before breaking into a grin and taking it. Jiraiya helped him stand up and sighed. "Why do you always have to charge in like that? I keep telling you not to do that." Naruto chuckled. "Sorry, sensei, I won't do it again," he said with a grin. "Let's go one more time. I'm sure this time I won't mess up." "We're done for today, Naruto," Jiraiya said. "You look kind of tired," and took a hard blow on the ribs. The blonde frowned. "You just want to go out with random women again, don't you?" Naruto deadpanned. Receiving no response from the older ninja, the blonde sighed. "Fine, I'll go back to the hotel since I still have to finish the Rasengan." "That's the spirit, kid," Jiraiya cheered with a perverted smile. "Whatever," Naruto sighed out as he walked towards the village. He might have sounded down, but he was actually looking forward to his training. He was already working on the third and final step and it proved to be the hardest. It consisted of spinning chakra inside an empty balloon without popping it. "Remember not to use clones," Jiraiya yelled from afar before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Naruto frowned. It was completely unfair. He had actually made a Rasengan, not perfect, but still a Rasengan, with the aid of a clone. Jiraiya had been impressed but told him to stop using the clone, his reason being he wanted Naruto's chakra control to improve and the Rasengan would do so. "Freaking pervert," Naruto muttered with a pout. Kakashi was unconscious on the bed of his apartment. The room was filled with the jonin that knew Kakashi closely. Guy sat on a chair inside of Kakashi's room. Asuma leaned against a wall with Kurenai by his side. All had seen Kakashi going down and decided to take care of him while he woke up. "How long will he be out?" Kurenai asked. She had arrived at the apartment after Kakashi had already been brought there since she had gone to report to the Hokage. Guy sighed. We're not sure, he began. The doctors say that he is exhausted and has suffered severe damage from Itachi's attack. Why did they attack on broad daylight? Kurenai asked in worry. I can think of some reasons, Asuma said with a serious face. They said that they came for Naruto for whatever purposes they have. If Itachi is with them, then that means that they are powerful. By attacking in broad daylight, they show that they are not afraid to be noticed. I say that they were trying to intimidate us. That might be it, Guy agreed. Itachi and, that other guy probably wanted to intimidate us. This is bad, Asuma thought with a frown. Just how strong are these guys? They took down Kakashi with a single attack. What the hell would someone like them want Naruto? The Jonin thought back on the fight, trying to find anything that revealed their true motives. Flashback. Asuma and Kurenai stood in front of Kakashi. They were winded and faced the two missing ninja wearing black cloaks. Kisame's straw hat was gone, revealing his shark-like face, while Itachi looked at the Jonin with a calm look, his Sharingan active and analyzing their every move. Those cloaks. Kakashi started. The two Jonin gave him a questioning look while Kisame broke into a grin. You're from the Akatsuki, aren't you? You know about us? Kisame asked with a smirk, and here I thought we were pretty secret. Why are you in Konoha? Kakashi asked with a glare, already knowing what they wanted from what Jiraiya had told him. Kisame chuckled. Why are we here? The shark-like man smirked. We're here for the F-dash. That is not of your concern, Itachi interrupted. If you're here for Naruto, then know that I will not allow you to take anyone from my team, Kakashi said with a glare. Itachi looked into Kakashi's eyes with a calm expression. Sharingan met Sharingan, but Itachi's began to change. Kakashi's eyes widened before he fell to his knees. Asuma and Kurenai ran to Kakashi's kneeling form and checked for any wounds. Asuma saw movement out of the corner of his eye and froze when he saw Kisame's blade inches away from Kurenai's head. Kurenai watched the blade inch closer to her second by second. She thought it was her end, but a green blur kicked Kisame away. The Akatsuki members sailed through the air before crashing on the ground. Before everyone stood the mighty beast of Konoha, Guy. Well, Kakashi, it seems that you've lost, Guy said with a light chuckle. Not to worry, my rival, I am here to help you. Damn you, Kisame growled as he stood up. I'll kill you for this. Kisame, Itachi said sternly, we will cause a lot of noise if we fight them here. Soon we'll have all of Konoha after us, it is best that we leave. Damn, Kisame said with a frown before turning to Guy with a smirk, I'll get you back for this. Remember this, Kisame will kill you. With that, the two Akatsuki members left in a swirl of leaves, leaving a panting Kakashi that barely held consciousness. You all right, Kakashi? Asuma asked in concern for his fellow ninja. Kakashi I smiled as he covered his Sharingan. I'll be all right, he said, just make sure to tell the Hokage that the red clouds appeared. Unable to handle the fatigue, the copy ninja fainted. End flashback. What did the Hokage say, Kurenai? Asuma asked. Kurenai frowned. When I told them that the red clouds appeared, he looked very worried. The Genjutsu mistress started. He dismissed me, but I heard him call for the ANBU. Isn't that a bit too much? Guy shook his head. When it comes to a dash, Asuma motioned Guy to keep quiet. Guy threw him a confused look before the door began to open. Sasuke entered the room with a frown on his face. Kakashi, I need you to. The genin stopped himself when he saw everyone on Kakashi's room and a bedridden Kakashi. Why are you here? What the hell happened? The jonins threw each other worried glances before a chunin wearing glasses entered the room. Is it true that Itachi returned to the village? And that he was after Naruto? Damn, Asuma muttered with a frown. Sasuke's eyes widened before he ran out of the room at full speed. What bad timing, Guy said with a frown. Sasuke ran through Konoha with a furious look on his face. Why did that bastard come here? Why is he after Naruto? I'll kill you. Itachi. Come on, Naruto muttered with his eyes closed in deep concentration. Beads of sweat rolled down his face and a balloon was held on his right hand. He felt the Rasengan close to completion. It would only take him a few more minutes. All that training with the wind manipulation was really paying off now. The balloon shook uncontrollably before calming down. Naruto's heartbeat rose, he almost had it. He began to shape the chakra into a ball and add more onto it. Bit by bit he would add chakra to it and it was finally about to work. All those long hours of training had brought him to this point. He steadied the chakra and felt the Rasengan become more stable. He was about to finish it. Knock, knock. Naruto's head snapped towards the door and heard the distinct sound of a pop. His pupils dilated and he turned back to the balloon, where only parts of it remained. A cold breeze fell over Naruto and his face darkened. The blonde made his way to the door with a dangerously calmed expression on his face. The blonde reached for the handle and threw open the door. What? Naruto spat with venom on his voice. He glared at the two who had interrupted a Rasengan breakthrough. Kisame laughed. We've got ourselves a feisty one, the Akatsuki member said with an amused smirk. Naruto's eyes widened when he looked at Itachi. He looked exactly like Sasuke and the Sharingan was active on his eyes. Who are you? Naruto asked in slight fear. Itachi. Sasuke's voice was heard from the hallway. Naruto turned to see Sasuke glaring at Itachi with hate on his eyes and Sharingan active. He looks like you, Kisame said in amusement. Do you know this kid? Itachi nodded. He's my younger brother, he said calmly, giving Sasuke a glance. Have you gotten stronger? Have you had enough hate? I'll kill you. Sasuke screamed as he charged up a Chidori and charged recklessly at Itachi. The Akatsuki member didn't move from his spot as Sasuke approached him. The genin grinned inwardly, the fool would die today. Sasuke's eyes widened when Itachi appeared before him and held his left wrist, breaking the attack. You're weak, he said in disgust before punching Sasuke on the stomach. The genin spat out blood and could do nothing as Itachi held him by the neck and slammed him on the wall. You lack hatred, Itachi said as he leaned to Sasuke's ear. You haven't gotten any stronger. You need more hatred to kill me. Sasuke gasped in fear when he saw the all-too-familiar Manjikyu Sharingan forming on Itachi's eyes. Naruto watched as his friend's body went limp. Sasuke began to thrash around and scream in pain as if he were in a nightmare. Naruto had been weak again, his friend was suffering because he had been too weak. The blonde glared at the two Akatsuki members. They would pay for what they did to Sasuke. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Countless copies of Naruto filled the hotel, causing the two Akatsuki members to be pushed back by the sheer numbers. You won't escape, kid. Kisame exclaimed with a smirk. He used his sword to dispel all nearby clones while Itachi ran through hand signs. A large fireball filled the hallway and torched all the Naruto clones. Smoke filled the hotel and when it cleared there was no sign of Naruto or Sasuke for that matter. He managed to trick us, Itachi said with a frown. We were fools to have underestimated a Jinchuriki. Let's go after the bastard, Kisame said with a smirk as the two Akatsuki members left the scene. Naruto ran through the village next to one of his clones that had Sasuke on its back. He was looking for Jiraiya since he would be the only one that could help him. There was a chance that the villagers would get hurt by any crossfire, so he avoided running through streets, choosing to jump rooftops. He would be spotted easily, but he didn't want any unnecessary casualties. Naruto stopped mid-step when he saw a black cloak blocking his view. He received a backhand and crashed against a ceiling, feeling bits of rocks dig into his skin. He held his right arm in pain as he stood up slowly. His eyes widened when he saw both Akatsuki members standing where he had been only moments ago. The clone carrying Sasuke jumped to his side and looked at the two missing ninja in fear. Come with us, Naruto, Itachi said in a calm voice. You have our word that Sasuke won't be hurt if you come with us without making a scene. A scene? Naruto asked with a light smirk, like this one. The blonde ran through hand signs and put a hand to his mouth. A powerful gust came out of his mouth, knocking over antennas and roof tiles. The two Akatsuki members disappeared from view. Naruto took in all of his surroundings, looking for anything that told him where the two were. A light flash of black caught his attention and he jumped from where he was. Kisame's sword crashed against the spot where Naruto had only been seconds ago. "Not bad, kid," Kisame complimented with a smirk, "but you forgot someone." Naruto, still airborne, looked to his side to see a fireball approaching him. The blonde ran through hand signs and put a hand to his mouth. "Wind style, air bullets." The air bullets clashed against the fireball, creating a powerful explosion. The blonde was blown aside and landed on the hard floor of a street. Naruto felt his left arm completely numb and his back was throbbing in pain. Somehow the blonde managed to smirk and look at the Akatsuki members defiantly. Itachi and Kisame jumped down from the roofs and landed in front of Naruto. Kisame smirked at the look Naruto had on his face. The kid was just too entertaining. That defiant look on his face only added to the amusement. "Why, you idiots," Naruto muttered as he got on his hands and knees. The blonde panted at the sheer effort it took. He supported himself with his right leg and began to stand, slowly but surely. Naruto swayed slightly but managed to stand and give the two Akatsuki members a weary grin. "I got Sasuke to safety while you were focused on me." "You'll never get him." "Who said we were after him?" Itachi said, making Naruto give him a confused look. "We were looking for you all this time." "Well, that's not right. We came for the 9 tails sealed within you." Sasuke only got caught in the crossfire. What? Naruto gasped in shock. Sasuke had gotten hurt because of him. He was to blame for the wounds Sasuke had taken. "Let's go 9 tails," Kisame said with a smirk. The missing ninja charged at Naruto but was suddenly knocked away by a white blur. "Why does this keep happening?" Kisame thought as he crashed against the ground. He stood up shakily soon after and glared at the newly arrived men. "Jiraiya the Toad Sage," Itachi stated. Jiraiya frowned. "So you're the Akatsuki," he said. He gave a quick glance to Naruto to make sure he was okay. Pleased to see that it was only minor wounds, he turned back to the Akatsuki. "You're looking for Naruto, I take it." "What do we do?" Kisame asked Itachi with a frown. "This is the situation we were trying to avoid." "We'll have to pull back," Itachi responded. "It's not smart to take one of the legendary 3, the risks are too great." "You won't be going anywhere," Jiraiya said as he ran no hand signs, earth style, dark swamp. The ground beneath the two Akatsuki's feet turned to mud and they began to sink. Kisame growled and flailed while Itachi calmly stood where he was. "Fire style, fireball jutsu." An engulfing ball of fire came out of Jiraiya's mouth and crashed into the two Akatsuki members. Naruto looked at the attacks in awe. Jiraiya was truly powerful even if he acted like an idiot. The mud disappeared and the flames dispersed, revealing 2 burnt bodies. The blonde's eyes widened when he saw them. Where Itachi and Kisame had been were now 2 unknown ninja with Sand Village headbands. Jiraiya walked to the bodies to inspect them. "It appears that they used a kind of puppetry," Jiraiya observed. "From the looks of things, they were able to transfer their chakra into them and create less powerful copies of themselves. The real question here is, from how far could they control them?" Master Jiraiya. Jiraiya turned away from the bodies to see a squad of ANBU standing in front of Naruto. "We were ordered to contact you by the 3rd Hokage." Jiraiya nodded. "Tell the Hokage that the Red Clouds made a move but Naruto is safe," the sage ordered. "The Uchiha got hurt, take him back to the village." One of the ANBU nodded and slung Sasuke over his shoulder. The squad nodded to Jiraiya once more before disappearing in blurs. Once they were gone, Jiraiya sighed. He hated giving orders. That's one of the reasons why he declined the position of Hokage by the 3rd. "You okay, kid?" Jiraiya asked with a proud smile. Naruto smiled lightly and nodded. "We'll go to another hotel so you can rest." If you're healed by tomorrow, we'll keep moving. I got a lead on Tsunade. Naruto grinned. That's great, I'll get healed in no time, he said without his usual cheerfulness. Hey Jiraiya-sensei, I almost mastered the Rasengan today. Really? Jiraiya asked with a grin. Yeah, Naruto responded with a smile. If it hadn't been for those two, I would have gotten it. Jiraiya nodded, watching his disciple sway slightly. He was probably exhausted from his encounter with the Akatsuki and had been lucky to have both of them taken it easy on him. It was still surprising for the blonde to still be standing. Naruto's eyes rolled to the back of his head and he fell lifelessly to the ground. Jiraiya caught him before he fell and slung him over his shoulder. I guess it was too much for you, Jiraiya said with a chuckle as he walked to the nearest hotel. Rumors spread through Konoha fast, saying how the traitor Itachi had come back to Konoha to kill Sasuke and Naruto. Some villagers were worried about Naruto while others remained indifferent. Ever since the attack on Konoha, Naruto had been viewed as a hero by a portion of the villagers. They were worried about how Naruto would fare against the traitor Uchiha who slaughtered his own clan. This news reached the sharp ears of Ino. She was making her way to the barbecue restaurant where her team would usually meet. She wanted to talk to her teammates about the danger Naruto was in. Ino entered the restaurant and saw Choji stuffing his face on a corner table, sitting next to an annoyed Shikamaru. Hey guys, I've got something important to talk to you about, Ino said with a sense of urgency on her voice. Shikamaru glanced at Ino before sighing. I know what this is about. Considering the fact that you look so worried, I take it you heard about Naruto, he said with a groan. It wasn't that Naruto wasn't his friend, it was just that the blonde would get in way too much trouble. Don't worry about it. I heard that Naruto was traveling with a legendary ninja, so he should be okay. Ino shook her head with a frown. Jiraiya won't always be in the village. Who's to say that Itachi won't look for him again? She asked a little angry. Not even 3 Jonin could defeat him. Choji chewed his food and glanced at Ino. What do you think we should do? We can't do much, he said while chewing on his food. He's right, Shikamaru said with a frown. It's not like we can do anything against ninja that powerful. Why not get stronger? Ino asked with a determined expression. Naruto had taught her that determination was an important factor to being a ninja, and she had taken those words to heart. Seeing how much Naruto had improved in only a month, we could train harder to be able to help Naruto in the future. I'm not saying that we'll be strong enough in a few months, but maybe we could be able to help him if we train hard enough. Shikamaru sighed. That's too much work, Ino, he said. What if Itachi and whoever came with him are dealt with before we could help? I don't want to do any extra training. Ino glared at Shikamaru. He wasn't willing to help Naruto because it was too much work, when Naruto did nothing but help. Naruto trained like a maniac to protect his friends and Shikamaru just ignored it like it was no big deal. What's wrong with you? Ino snapped with angry tears on her eyes. Shikamaru and Choji looked taken back by the outburst. Naruto's always helped you even when he was the one that needed the most help. He suffered for years and would risk anything to help us. How can you turn your back on him? A few tears rolled down Ino's cheeks, causing Choji to stop eating. Ino's right, Shikamaru, he said with a serious expression. You remember how he was when we were kids, right? He would be happy around us, but as soon as time to go home came, Naruto would only stare at us in sadness. Even though he looked sad, he would always help us with anything we needed. What's a few rounds of extra training going to do to us? I'm willing to train twice as hard. Shikamaru sighed, watching his teammates. He never said that he wouldn't help Naruto, he just didn't want to train even harder. You're starting to sound like Lee, Choji. Fine, he said with a small smirk. Ino and Choji smiled at their teammate. I guess if you two will get more training done, I'll probably get dragged into it. I would rather agree now than be annoyed later. Thank you guys, Ino said with a smile. Shikamaru nodded with an annoyed look on his face. Training would only get more troublesome from now on. One thing was for certain, a certain blonde would owe him big for this. let's get going. Naruto cheered with a smile. He was back to 100% after a good night's sleep. Let's go before the old lady disappears. Jiraiya got a panicked look on his face. Don't be an idiot, he scolded. Naruto gave him an odd look, causing the Toad Sage to sigh. Take my warning. Do not call Tsunade old. Why not? Wasn't she as old as you? Naruto asked in confusion. Jiraiya shuddered, remembering the last guy who called Tsunade old. Just don't call her that, trust me. He dug into his coat and took out a balloon before handing it to Naruto. Here, work on the last step and don't use clones. Got it, Naruto said with a smile. He filled the balloon with air and got to work. He would have the Rasengan down in no time. Ch-12 Tsunade's Dilemma. Naruto walked through the busy streets with a smile on his face. He had been persuaded to buy a lottery ticket by an old sweet lady, and he had one. Now Gamma was full and happy. All he had to do now was hide this fact from Jiraiya, since the perv had a knack for stealing his money. He didn't understand why he just took the money from him. If he was as big of a success as he claimed, then why did he need to steal from a 13-year-old? Thankfully, ever since they had arrived to the village where Tsunade was said to be, Jiraiya had left him alone to focus on his search for Tsunade. Naruto didn't mind Jiraiya's absence, but he had a feeling that Jiraiya wasn't just looking for Tsunade. Knowing his sensei, he was probably out on bars stalking women. It had been 5 days since the Akatsuki attacked Naruto. Naruto and Jiraiya had arrived on the village only 2 days prior, meaning that Jiraiya had been looking for Tsunade for the past 3 days. The first thing Naruto noticed about the village was that it was old. It was filled with old buildings, but they were still in good state, unlike his apartment complex. The second thing he noticed was that the village was way too crowded. There were houses almost everywhere and the streets were filled with shops and stands, making it look like there was a kind of festival going on. Regardless, Naruto thought that it was a nice village. What now? Naruto asked himself with a sigh. He took out a balloon and filled it with air before putting it on his right hand. He held it as he walked with a slight look of concentration. Inside of the balloon was a perfect ball of chakra, meaning that the third step had been mastered. It had only taken Naruto 2 days since the Akatsuki's attack to learn the last step. Jiraiya was impressed and told Naruto to practice more with the Rasengan so that it would come naturally to him. The sage still had spars with Naruto but had now allowed the use of ninjutsu. Jiraiya had also told Naruto to use his jutsu in creative ways, meaning that he had to find more uses for it rather than just attacking. The Chunin thought that he was improving and couldn't wait to get home and show Ino all of his progress. Naruto smiled at the thought of Ino. She had accepted him for who he was and didn't fear him because of the fox. He hadn't known until then just how much Ino meant to him. The thought of losing her terrified him for reasons he didn't know. The blonde wondered what Ino was doing at the moment. She could be in the middle of a mission at the moment, or maybe helping her parents with the shop. It's so boring without Ino here, Naruto thought as he continued to walk through the busy streets. Back in Konoha, a blonde was having similar thoughts. Ino was sitting behind the counter of her parents' flower shop. She didn't understand why they didn't hire workers since they were out almost every day, but she was still glad to help them out. There weren't many people going into the shop, which led to Ino getting bored, which led to her mind to wonder, which led to her thinking about Naruto. It had been a week since he was gone and she was getting a little worried. She knew it was stupid to worry for her friend, he was with a legendary ninja after all, but she couldn't help but feel worried. Naruto had become a very dear friend and she would be crushed if she found out something happened to him. He was being targeted by Itachi of all people, a traitor who was even stronger than a Jonin. Bad thoughts, bad thoughts. Naruto's okay and he'll come back in no time, Ino reassured herself. He has to see how much I've improved. True to her word, Ino alone, Choji and Shikamaru had kicked up their training. They now met for training whenever they had time off and trained for a few hours. Shikamaru would be the first one to leave after 2 hours, saying that it was too troublesome. Choji would leave next since he was needed at home. He never said why exactly, but he still left. Ino would train after the others left and was starting to show improvement. Ino's water control had improved and she had been given 2 scrolls by Asuma. They contained water jutsu that she was still learning to master. Kurenai would visit the team often and had taught Ino how to use more genjutsu and how to get out of them more easily. The Jonin saw much talent on Ino's genjutsu and planned on teaching her more as time went by. All was going great for Ino, but she still missed Naruto. Things had been quiet since he left and she found herself missing the days when the two of them would just walk around the village. She really hoped that he would be back soon so they could go out again. She didn't think that it was odd to think of a friend like this, since that's probably how everyone acted when they missed a friend. Orochimaru sat on his throne. He had a smirk on his face. Everything was going great. He had been able to find Tsunade without a problem and had outsmarted her by angering her. It had been slightly difficult to convince her to heal Kimimaro, however, but she would be doing so in the end. For now he would wait. He had given Tsunade a week to meet him and he had no doubt that she would do so. Kabuto, Orochimaru called. Kabuto appeared in a puff of smoke in a kneeling position. What is it, Lord Orochimaru? Orochimaru smirked. Tell me how she's doing, he began. Is she being defiant? Not at all, Kabuto answered as a smirk made its way to his face. Due to my medication she has been rather quiet. Orochimaru chuckled with an amused smile. My. To think all of this could have been avoided if Tsunade had just agreed to come with me. Kimimaro would soon be healed, giving his forces a boost. If he played his cards right, then he would have Sasuke by the end of the month. The Sharingan would at last be his and the destruction of Konoha would be a sure thing. Yes, everything was going great indeed. Jiraiya frowned as he walked back to the hotel. It was now dark outside and there was still no sign of Tsunade. He knew that she was around since his contacts had told him that she had only arrived about a week ago. He had been careful on being spotted by taking some precautions, like walking to the village instead of using chakra to increase his pace. All of this was necessary since Tsunade was good at spotting other shinobi. The Toad Sage was sure that something had happened and he would find out what. There you are, came Naruto's voice. Jiraiya looked to his right side to see the blonde running towards him. What do you want? Did something happen? Jiraiya asked with a raised brow. No, nothing happened. Except you left me alone all day. Naruto exclaimed with a frown. Do you have any idea how boring it was? We even missed our sparring session. Jiraiya chuckled. The kid was really something. He would act like his father 1 second and then act like his mother the next. Fine kid, I'll take you along next time, he said with a sigh. Let's go eat something. Naruto smiled almost instantly. You should have said so in the beginning, Jiraiya-sensei, he said with a smile. Are we going to a ramen stand? Are you kidding me? I've taken you there ever since we came to this village, Jiraiya said with a frown. We're going to get something else today. Fine, Naruto said with a pout. The two began to walk around the village looking for a place to eat. Naruto's eyes glimmered with hope when he saw the approaching ramen stand, but that hope was lost when they walked right past it. The village was filled with all kinds of restaurants and the streets were still crowded. Naruto couldn't believe just how many people lived in the village, but dismissed it when Jiraiya stopped walking. They were in front of a bar and Naruto gave Jiraiya an odd look. Why'd you stop, Jiraiya-sensei? He asked. Is this the place where we're eating? Jiraiya smiled with his gaze on the restaurant. Yeah, a blonde could be seen on one of the bar's booths. This is the place. The two entered the bar and Naruto was greeted by the smell of alcohol and smoke. The blonde instantly gagged and glared at his master. Why had he brought him here? This place smelled so bad that not even ramen would be enjoyable if eaten here. The blonde's eyes narrowed when he noticed that they were walking towards a blonde sitting on a booth. Jiraiya had taken him here to meet girls? Naruto was about to complain but was interrupted by Jiraiya. "It's been a while, Tsunade," Jiraiya said with a smile. Naruto's eyes widened and he looked at the kunoichi in wonder. She had been Jiraiya's teammate, meaning that she was strong. Tsunade turned an eye to Jiraiya and frowned. "What are you doing here?" she asked with anger on her voice. "Just my luck. My past decides to come back to me on the same day." "You're saying that Orochimaru was here?" Jiraiya asked with narrowed eyes as he and Naruto sat opposite of Tsunade. "That's what I'm saying," she growled, "that no good traitor. When I get my hands on him, I'll make sure to give him a painful death." "What happened?" Jiraiya asked with a frown. "Why should I tell you?" Tsunade asked with narrowed eyes. "If I do, then you'll just butt in like a fool. I can handle my own business and I don't need the help of someone like you." Naruto had had enough. Jiraiya was more than a mentor to Naruto, he was like a grandfather to him, and he wouldn't allow some old lady to talk to him like that. "Listen here, lady," the blonde said with a frown, "I don't care if you were Jiraiya-sensei's teammate. If you ever badmouth him in front of me again, I'll kick your ass, even if you're old." An ominous air surrounded Tsunade and the whole bar went quiet. Jiraiya had a shocked look on his face and hoped that Naruto would come out alive. He had warned him not to mention her age at all, and he just went and said it. The Toad Sage was glad to have Naruto defend his name, but calling Tsunade old was just stupid. "What did you say?" Tsunade growled out. "I called you an old lady, an old hag, a grandma." Naruto exclaimed with an angry look on his face. "Do you want to step outside?" Tsunade asked with a tick mark on her forehead. Naruto smirked. "Do you want me to walk you there?" he asked, "or can you still do it on your own?" "That's it!" Tsunade exclaimed as she put a hand to Naruto's forehead and flicked her finger. Naruto went crashing out of the bar with a fuming Tsunade on his heel. Naruto crashed against the ground with his whole head in pain. He had no idea what had happened, but knew that Tsunade was indeed strong. He heard footsteps and turned around to see Tsunade walking towards him. Tsunade scoffed and crossed her arms. To be called out by a brat. "I really must be losing my head," she said with a sigh before turning to walk towards the bar. Not one to be ignored, Naruto stood up and smirked at Tsunade. "I guess that happens to women your age. They start to lose sense of things." Tsunade stopped on her tracks and turned to glare at Naruto. "We're not done yet, you just had a cheap shot." Tsunade growled under her breath. She really didn't want to beat a kid senseless, but if he didn't stop she would be forced to. "Just quit already, kid," she said with a frown. "I'm too strong for you. You'll just end up getting hurt." "I'll never give up," Naruto exclaimed with a determined look on his face. "That's my ninja way." Tsunade's eyes widened. Memories of her dead brother hit her like a slap to the face. Seeing Naruto's determined expression, she couldn't help but remember Nawaki. The two were so alike, now that she thought about it. "That's enough, Naruto," Jiraiya called out. The sage stepped out of the bar and had a serious look on his face. "We didn't come here to cause problems." But Naruto began but stopped when he saw the look Jiraiya gave him. "Fine, but don't expect me to apologize." Jiraiya grinned and shook his head. "Alright, kid, let's just go back inside." He turned to Tsunade and frowned. "You come too." "I want to know what Orochimaru wanted." "By the way you're acting, I assume that it wasn't pleasant seeing him again." "Fine," Tsunade said with a sigh as she made her way inside with Naruto and Jiraiya following behind her. People gave the trio odd looks as they quietly sat down on the same booth. The owner of the store thought of kicking them out for their disturbance, but knew better after watching Tsunade's display of strength. It was no wonder that Konoha ninja were considered the best. "Now, tell us what happened," Jiraiya said with a tone of finality. Tsunade nodded with a frown. "I arrived on this village about a week ago. I came with my assistant Shizune. It wasn't until today that we ran into Orochimaru and that bastard managed to fool me." Flashback. Tsunade and Shizune hurried out of the village. Shizun didn't know why, but if Tsunade seemed agitated then things didn't look good. The legendary medic didn't want to stay another second on the village. She had won 5 games in a row on the local casino, and she knew that it was a bad sign. Nothing good ever came when she won, so it would be best to leave while she still could. The two medics turned a corner and stopped dead on their tracks. In front of them stood none other than Orochimaru. The snake summoner had a smirk on his face and crossed his arms. Orochimaru, Tsunade said the name with a growl. Hello Tsunade, Orochimaru said with a chuckle, you don't look too happy to see your old teammate. What are you doing here? The medic asked with a snarl. Orochimaru smirked. I just came here to ask for a favor, he began. One of my ninja is suffering from a strange illness and I was wondering if you would like to heal him. Tsunade glared at the snake summoner. Do you take me for a fool? She snapped. I would never help you after what you did to Konoha. So you heard of my little attack, Orochimaru said in amusement. Don't let it bother you, Tsunade, it's not like you were there. In fact, you haven't been there since that fool died, haven't you? Tsunade's eyes narrowed and her fists began to shake. You damn traitor, she muttered before snapping her gaze to Orochimaru. I'll kill you and save Sensei the trouble. Orochimaru chuckled. Are you that naive, Tsunade? Did you really think I would come here without a way to make you obey me? The snake summoner ran through hand signs and slammed his hands on the ground. Tsunade's eyes widened as countless of snakes came out of the ground and sprung at them. Tsunade knocked the approaching snakes aside before blocking the ones that came after them. She knocked one more snake aside and threw a glance at her assistant. Shizun was using medical jutsu to knock the snakes away before they got too close. The two continued to defend themselves against the snakes and failed to notice another ninja making his way behind them. Tsunade had enough of the damned snakes and threw a punch on the ground. The ground gave out in front of her and created a small earthquake that destroyed the rest of the approaching snakes. The legendary medic glared at Orochimaru but frowned when she saw him smirk. You lose, Tsunade, Orochimaru said in amusement. Tsunade threw another gaze at Shizun but gasped when she saw that her assistant wasn't there anymore. Where is she? Tsunade asked in anger. Orochimaru chuckled with a sick smile. While you were busy I had my assistant take her away, he explained. Now, what will you do, Tsunade? What do you want? Tsunade asked in defeat. You're going to heal my ninja, Orochimaru said before throwing a scroll to Tsunade that contains the location of one of my bases. Now to show you I'm a good person I'll give you a choice. You can either come to my base or just forget I was ever here. If choose not to show then your friend will suffer the consequences. With that the snake summoner melted into the ground, leaving an angry Tsunade behind. Flashback. That was all, Tsunade said in anger. If I don't show up that bastard will kill Shizun. Jiraiya nodded. Orochimaru was never one to play by the rules and taking hostages was expected of him. He didn't know why Orochimaru wanted one of his ninja healed since he is not one to care for anyone. If he cared for the well-being of someone then that meant that he planned on using that body later on. Naruto gritted his teeth. That bastard Orochimaru was a sick man. He wouldn't get away with kidnapping an innocent person. Let's help her, Jiraiya-sensei, the blonde said with a serious expression. Let's put a stop to Orochimaru once and for all. Hold on, kid. Don't talk like you stand a chance against Orochimaru. He would beat you before you even get a hit on him, Jiraiya said with a frown. We will help get Shizun back, but you are not to face Orochimaru. You will leave him to me. Sounds like a plan. Naruto cheered. As long as we help I don't care if I fight or not. Tsunade frowned. Those two idiots were one and the same. You two can't come, she said. If Orochimaru sees you then he'll kill Shizun before we even get there. Jiraiya grinned. You know you're talking to the leader of a spy network, right? He asked in amusement. I'm more than capable of getting into Orochimaru's base undetected. What about the kid? Tsunade asked with an irritated frown. Don't worry about him, Jiraiya said with a smile. Naruto's my new apprentice. I'll teach him how to slip past Orochimaru. He'll be with me the whole time, so I'll make sure he's undetected. You don't get it, do you? Tsunade snapped. I won't put Shizune in danger. Even if the odds are with me, I'll never risk Shizune's life. With that, the legendary medic left the bar with a scowl on her face. What are we supposed to do, sensei? Naruto asked with a worried look. Jiraiya smiled. Naruto, you really are a hopeless case. He looked at the ceiling and let out a chuckle. What was the thing I taught you about the ladies? Naruto frowned. Well, I'm not sure that it appl-. What did I teach you? Jiraiya interrupted. Naruto sighed at his sensei's antics. When a woman says no, it means yes, the blonde sighed. Jiraiya nodded at his student with a proud look on his face, making the blonde scowl, but that doesn't apply to this situation. Of course it does, Jiraiya argued. Besides, isn't it our mission to bring Tsunade back to the village? How will we bring her back if we don't get Shizune back? Fine, Naruto said with a sigh. I still wanted to help this Shizune person anyway. That's the spirit, Jiraiya said with a smile. Now let's order some food. Naruto got a look of disgust on his face as he looked around the bar. Here, he asked in alarm, this place smells gross, let's go somewhere else. Not a chance, Jiraiya deadpanned. Naruto's face faltered. Why not? The blonde argued. There were a bunch of restaurants outside. I have my reasons, Jiraiya said. The sage got a perverted grin on his face when he saw a couple of ladies enter the bar. Trust me on this, kid. The blonde sighed. When Jiraiya got like this, there was no stopping him. The sage really acted like a kid sometimes, but at least he had been right about helping Tsunade. He wondered what kind of things Jiraiya would teach him though. Soon 4 days had come and gone. During this time, Jiraiya worked on teaching Naruto stealth skills while keeping a watchful eye on Tsunade. The sage knew that she would try to pull a fast one on him if he was not careful. He was glad with the progress Naruto was making and had taught him how to use his invisibility jutsu. It was an easy jutsu since he had made it when he was only a genin, and with Naruto's reserves he was able to keep it up for a few hours. Tsunade hurried out of the village. She knew that Jiraiya would be keeping an eye on her, which is why she had left in the middle of the night. The idiot was way too stubborn and would follow her to Orochimaru's base regardless of what she said. She didn't doubt that with Jiraiya's help she would stand a better chance against Orochimaru, but she couldn't risk Shizune's life. She was one of her remaining close people. Damn it, pervy sage! Naruto screamed in anger, nursing his left cheek. Quit hitting me already! I told you to be quiet! Jiraiya exclaimed as he slapped Naruto on the back of the head. Naruto glared at Jiraiya. Why are we out here anyway? The two were currently on the outskirts of the village. They were hiding among the trees of the area. Jiraiya smiled and pointed forward. That's why we're here. Naruto looked forward and saw Tsunade moving away from the village. It was the middle of the night, so it was a little hard to spot her. I knew she would leave without telling us. We're going to follow her until she arrives at Orochimaru's base. And that's when we punch her, right? Naruto asked excitingly. Jiraiya facepalmed. Why do you act like an idiot 1 second and a genius the next? Naruto smiled and gave him a shrug. We're just going to go to the base and stop Orochimaru before anything bad happens. I have no doubt that he'll try to do something to Tsunade. Naruto nodded in agreement. That bastard is the lowest of the low, he growled before looking at Jiraiya with a questioning look. Will there be more ninja there? Jiraiya looked taken back. Of course there will be, he said with a sigh. All of those ninja are loyal to Orochimaru only, so there's no reasoning with them. They will attack when we reveal ourselves to Orochimaru. I want you to kill them when they do. Naruto froze. Kill them? Yes, Jiraiya said with a serious expression. With ninja like the ones we're about to face, we're forced to kill. But, Naruto began with panic on his eyes. Isn't that a little harsh? Jiraiya sighed. He forgot how hard the concept of killing came to the innocent ones. Yes, Naruto, you will kill them. Seeing Naruto's panic look, Jiraiya continued. You have to do it, Naruto, because if you don't then they'll kill you without a second thought. The ninja will face want nothing more than to comply to Orochimaru's wishes, meaning that they want Konoha destroyed. I guess, Naruto muttered with his gaze to the ground. Naruto, Jiraiya said in a serious voice, we ninja fight for our village at all costs. We protect our village with our lives and are willing to kill for the well-being of the village as a whole. Look at the fourth Hokage, he killed thousands of ninja in order to protect the Leaf Village and put an end to a war that could have killed thousands of people. In order to kill you have to harden your heart towards enemies and kill not for killing but for the village. I understand, Naruto said with a shaky sigh. Jiraiya nodded. Let's get moving or we'll lose Tsunade. The two began to leap through trees while blocking their chakra signatures. Remember what I taught you and you'll be fine. Got it, Naruto said with a determined expression. This was not the time to take it easy. They were in the middle of an important mission where they couldn't afford to make any mistakes. The concept of killing was still hard for him, but he would do it for the village. Hang on, Shizune, were the thoughts of the three ninja as they made their way to Orochimaru's base. CH-13 Team Sarutobi reunites. Kabuto sighed as he watched Shizune's unconscious form. Tsunade's assistant was locked in a cell, with her arms cuffed to the wall. It was a real shame that Orochimaru had discouraged any type of experiments on this woman. It did make sense since Tsunade was a medic ninja and would check on Shizune the minute she got her hands on her. It was true that precautions needed to be taken when dealing with someone of Tsunade's caliber, but he didn't understand why they should delay his experiments if they were going to kill Tsunade in the end. A real shame. Kabuto muttered with a smirk. Shizune was a powerful ninja. She had been able to counteract the poison he put into her when she and Tsunade were busy with Orochimaru. It was a tricky plan to pull, but it was thanks to the Senbon's small size that the plan succeeded. If only he could experiment on someone so close to his own power, then he would gain the strength he needed. Kabuto chuckled. Who knows? I might be able to make Lord Orochimaru keep her, he said before leaving the holding cell with a smirk on his face. Tsunade panted. It had been a long time since she had ran for so long using chakra and it was straining her body. She stood in front of a cave and held a paper with the location of the base on her right hand. This was the place where Shizune was being held. This was Orochimaru's base and she would kill the bastard for threatening Shizune's life. She didn't have many things left and she would be damned if anybody took them away. She prepared to enter but was stopped by two sound ninja with masks covering their faces. They wore outfits similar to that of the ANBU and she guessed that Orochimaru had his own kind of ANBU squad. She didn't know how powerful they were, but she knew that they were not the level of Konoha's. It was a given since he hadn't been able to deal a powerful blow to the village. State your business, one of the masked ninjas said in a threatening tone. I was told to come here by Orochimaru, Tsunade responded. I am Tsunade. The two got quiet for a minute until one of them stepped towards her. Very well, I will take you to Lord Orochimaru, he said as he took out a chakra-suppressing seal. You are to wear this if you wish to enter. Tsunade snarled. I won't put that damn thing on, she snapped with anger on her eyes. He should be grateful I came here. The masked ninja growled and took out a kunai. Listen you, this is not your petty little village. You are to follow our rule dash. Is there a problem here? Came a voice from inside the cave. The two masked man instantly froze and kneeled down. And not at all, Lord Kabuto, answered one of the ninja. She just disagreed to put on a chakra suppressing seal. Kabuto sighed and stepped out of the cave. You two should show more respect to Lady Tsunade. She was Lord Orochimaru's teammate after all, he said with a frown. The two men froze and stood still, knowing that the slightest movement might get them killed. Kabuto was the second in command and he would use Sound Ninja for his experiments if angered. Come with me, Lady Tsunade, I assure you that you will be treated with respect. Kabuto gave Tsunade a fake smile and motioned for her to follow. Tsunade frowned but followed after Orochimaru's assistant. He was a strange one and she found him to be very similar to Orochimaru. She would play along for now. She still needed to get Shizune out of there and meeting with Orochimaru was the only way she could.
Jiraiya and Naruto watched Tsunade enter the base from afar.
They were hidden among the trees and kept their chakra levels low as not to be spotted.
The two sound ninja went back to their spots and guarded the base, unknowingly giving the two-leaf ninja a perfect angle in which to strike.
Naruto turned to his master a little uncertain, still having trouble with the idea of killing.
Jiraiya turned to his student and raised 3 fingers, indicating when they would strike.
The blonde's heartbeat rose in nervousness. He knew that he must kill the target or else the whole plan would become exposed and Shizune would be killed. He was a ninja and couldn't afford to let his emotions ruin the mission. The blonde hardened his emotions and got ready for his first kill.
3, 2, 1.
Jiraiya sprung from his hiding spot onto one of the sound ninjas and broke his neck with a hard palm strike to the face. The other ninja was about to alert the others, but before he could, a blade sliced through his throat. The last thing he saw was a pair of hardened blue eyes. "Let's go after Tsunade, but remember to keep quiet," Jiraiya said with a slight nod at Naruto's work. "Hold your invisibility jutsu until I tell you otherwise."
The sage's invisibility jutsu was unique.
It not only made the user invisible, but it allowed others who knew the exact technique to see each other. This was done by knowing what to look for.
"Right, Jiraiya-sensei," Naruto said with a nod. The two entered the base without looking back at the two bodies. Naruto still held Asuma's blade on his right hand with transparent blood trailing down the cold metal. The blonde felt remorse but oppressed it. He was in the middle of a mission and he couldn't afford to let his emotions get the best of him. "It's just like the others," Jiraiya thought, referring to the layout of Orochimaru's base. So far, all of the bases Jiraiya had been in had the same snake pattern on the floor. The bases consisted of many hallways that looked exactly the same, making it a maze of sorts. They arrived at a crossroads and Jiraiya knew that he would have to do something he didn't want. The best way to catch up to Tsunade and lend her a hand would be to split up with Naruto, but that would be risky. Naruto was still shaken by his first kill, although he didn't show it, and he would probably end up running into all the dead ends of the base. "But is the only way we can get there on time," the sage thought with a frown. He stole a glance of his transparent student and saw the look of determination on his eyes. The blonde was ready for whatever came at him and Jiraiya knew that he would do well. "Naruto," Jiraiya whispered, getting the attention of said blonde, "we have to split up, otherwise we won't get to Tsunade in time." Naruto nodded in agreement. "Got it," he responded. "What about any other sound ninja we'll encounter?" "Same rules apply," the sage responded in a serious voice. "You are to kill them if they manage to spot you. Do not attract any unnecessary attention to yourself." "Understood," Naruto said before going down the right hallway. Jiraiya couldn't help but chuckle at the blonde. The kid was much like his father sometimes. Minato too would harden his emotions when forced to kill and would oppress his real emotions. He seemed depressed for days after his first kill until his future wife smacked some sense into him. It seemed that Naruto had inherited that unhealthy quality from his father. He glanced once more at Naruto before going down the left hall with a serious expression on his face. It would be a hard mission, but he knew that they would pull through and hoped that someone would be there to cheer Naruto up when they returned to Konoha. Tsunade followed Kabuto into a very large room with a giant statue of a snake glaring at the entranceway. There were wooden doors all throughout the walls and finally there was a kind of throne underneath the statue, and that is where Orochimaru sat with a smirk plastered on his face. The legendary medic glared at the snake summoner. He had always been a twisted person and she wanted nothing more than to kill him on the spot. "Glad to see you could make it, Tsunade," Orochimaru said with a chuckle, "but it seems you came a little early. I gave you a week to get here, didn't I?" "Something came up," Tsunade responded, thinking back at the meeting with Jiraiya and Naruto. "Where's Shizune?" Orochimaru smirked. "Straight to the point as always, Tsunade," the snake summoner nodded to Kabuto. The silver-headed ninja bowed before leaving the room through one of the many wooden doors. "Kabuto will bring back Shizune and the ninja I want you to heal." "All right," Tsunade said with a frown. There was something wrong. Everything was too easy. Simply heal someone and then leave like it never happened. This was not how Orochimaru acted.
he was hiding something and Tsunade would make sure to watch herself. Naruto walked through the halls of the base. He was getting annoyed with the place. Every single hallway looked exactly the same. There was no telling if he was making progress or simply walking in circles. The blonde was very impatient and began to contemplate the idea of swarming the place with clones. The blonde heard footsteps and leaned against the wall of the hall, to avoid bumping into whoever was approaching. The sound of footsteps got closer and he made out the outline of two people walking through the dimly lighted hallway. That's... Naruto thought in disbelief. Kabuto, from the Chunin exams, was walking through the hallways of Orochimaru's base as if he owned the place. A sound ninja with white hair and an outfit similar to Orochimaru's was walking next to him with an unconscious woman on his shoulder. Kabuto and the sound ninja turned a corner with Naruto on their trail. I'll get to the bottom of this. Jiraiya walked through yet another hall of Orochimaru's base. The sage had made a mental map of the place and hoped that it was accurate. From what he had seen in the other bases, Orochimaru always had a main room which he would use for whatever it was he did. That certain room always had more than one way in. If there were more halls that led into that room, then there was a high chance that he and Naruto would make it there eventually. The sage had been following a mental path that would lead him into that main room. He only hoped that it was correct since he knew that he didn't have much time to waste. In one hand, Tsunade was probably face to face with Orochimaru at the moment, while on the other Naruto was a time bomb. The blonde was impatient by nature and would end up getting into a fight for no reason. No time to lose, Jiraiya thought with a frown as he made his way down the hall. Tsunade watched as a Kabuto re-entered the room, followed by a sound ninja with Shizune hanging from his shoulder. Shizune! Tsunade exclaimed in concern as she ran to her assistant. Orochimaru nodded at his ninja. The sound ninja complied and set Shizune on the floor. Tsunade was instantly by her side using her medical jutsu to see if they had done anything to her. There's nothing wrong with her except for the sleep serum running through her veins, Tsunade thought with a relieved expression. That was my end of the bargain, Orochimaru said with a smirk. I want you to heal Kimimaro here. Tsunade glared at her once teammate. What makes you think I'll do that? She got into a fighting position and prepared to attack. Do you take me for a fool? Orochimaru chuckled. Are you that stupid, Tsunade? He smirked. Do you really believe that you can fight me and two of my ninja while protecting an unconscious woman? Tsunade growled, knowing that Orochimaru was right. Fine, I'll heal your ninja, but if you try anything I'll kill you, she said with a glare. We don't want that, do we? Orochimaru said with a chuckle. Naruto stood outside a wooden door. Kabuto had gone in there a few minutes ago with the sound ninja carrying who he assumed to be Shizune. Jiraiya had told him not to let himself known, but Shizune was only a few steps away. He was sure that he stood a chance against Kabuto, but knew that it would be risky fighting him while on the company of a sound ninja. Luckily, they had left the door slightly ajar, which meant that he could get in without being noticed, but it would still be a great risk. I have to risk it. Shizune could be getting hurt and our objective was to protect her, Naruto scolded himself before slowly making his way into the room. He stifled a gasp when he saw three sound ninja talking amongst themselves on a small table. The room was big and had the same layout as the halls. There were many tables around. He assumed that this was some kind of meeting room for the sound ninja. The blonde looked around the room in an attempt to figure out what to do. He couldn't just kill them since he wouldn't be able to do it without making a hassle that would certainly alert Orochimaru of his presence. Naruto decided to wait for the moment. The only other way out of the room was a closed wooden door. He wouldn't be able to get through it without alarming the ninja, so why risk it? He would wait until his master made a move and only then would he make a move of his own. Kimimaro's unconscious form laid on the floor with Tsunade looking over his body. The legendary medic had found the problem easily. He had apparently caught an old bacterial infection that would quickly reproduce and slowly eat the body from the inside. She was using her chakra to kill the bacteria while at the same time reconstructing the tissue that had been lost. The most difficult part was reconstructing the lungs since a small part of them were gone, but she was a legendary medic after all. Overall, it was a dangerous illness, but she was more than capable of healing it. After a few minutes, Tsunade's hands stopped glowing green and she moved away from Kimimaro. "I'm done," she announced with a frown. "I'm leaving this place."
"Thank you for your help, Tsunade," Orochimaru said with a chuckle. The snake summoner nodded at Kabuto and the latter stabbed his hand with a kunai.
What?" Tsunade muttered. She froze, seeing all the blood flow out of Kabuto's hand. The blood brought back painful memories from the past and she felt unable to move.
Orochimaru frowned in disgust.
"How ridiculous! Being afraid of blood in your line of work is like a fisherman being afraid of fish. You have become truly pathetic due to your foolish emotions," he sneered. "Kill her." "With pleasure," Kabuto answered as he took the bloodied kunai and charged at Tsunade.
The legendary medic couldn't move.
There was too much blood around her that she felt lightheaded. No matter what she did, she wouldn't be able to dodge the attack.
Kabuto raised the kunai and stabbed at Tsunade's heart.
She watched as the blood-covered kunai made its way to her heart and could do nothing to prevent it. The blood had terrified her beyond belief. She winced as the kunai slowly entered her skin, but before it could completely enter, Kabuto was violently knocked across the room by an open palm. "And you said you didn't need my help," Jiraiya said in his ever-cheerful tone.
Tsunade looked at Jiraiya in disbelief.
"What are you doing here?" she asked.
Jiraiya grinned.
"You know me, Tsunade," he chuckled and crossed his arms. "I'm not one to leave a lady by herself."
"What kind of person would I be then?"
Tsunade managed to smile at her old teammate. He had always been a fool, but a good kind of fool. "Jiraiya," Orochimaru said with a frown on his face, "I should have known you would have trailed along."
"It's been a while, Orochimaru," Jiraiya said with a frown.
A loud crashing noise was heard from the room Naruto was in and the blonde watched as the three ninja prepared to charge into Orochimaru's chamber. He couldn't allow that. If his master had already moved, then that meant that he had to make sure nobody interfered. He would have to kill the ninja before it was too late.
Naruto dropped his invisibility jutsu and held Asuma's blade on his right hand.
The blonde infused wind chakra into his blade and charged at the nearest ninja. The three sound ninja turned at the sound of footsteps and saw a blonde charging at them. Naruto jumped at one of the ninja, who could do nothing but watch as Naruto ran the blade through his torso before punching him away.
One of the sound ninja threw a punch which Naruto easily ducked under only to see an upcoming kick.
The blonde brought his hands down to cover the kick before jumping off the ground to put some distance. He ran through hand signs and put a hand around his mouth. A powerful gust of wind came out of his mouth, but the two sound ninja jumped away before being hit. Naruto smirked. They had fallen for it. He threw a kunai to each ninja, but they dodged them easily. The throws had been clumsy and weak. The enemy ninja froze when the kunai stopped on their tracks and transformed into clones. The sound ninja could do nothing as the two clones delivered a kick to their sides, making them groan in pain and knocked away from the impact. The enemy ninja crashed against each other before falling to the floor, kicking up a small cloud of dust. Naruto infused wind chakra into his blade and charged at the two ninja. His plan was a success. The ninja would die by his hand. The sound ninja could do nothing as the blonde ran through them with his blade digging deep into their torso, ending their lives. The blonde looked back at the corpses of the ninja and gritted his teeth. It was getting harder to control his emotions, but he would do so for the well-being of the mission. The blonde ran out of the room with his blade held on his hand. The battle had started, but it sounded like it was far away. He had to hurry. The blonde stopped on his tracks when he heard the sound of approaching footsteps. The blonde cursed and used his invisibility jutsu, for now he would hide in the shadows. Orochimaru snarled. He had been a fool for not having taken the necessary precautions, but Jiraiya's appearance had been all but expected. The snake summoner analyzed the situation. Kabuto was nowhere near Jiraiya's level, but he could still stall Tsunade. However, he couldn't afford to have Kimimaro hurt since he would be his next vessel after all. The best thing to do at the moment would be having Kabuto take Kimimaro away before coming back and joining the fight with Jiraiya. Tsunade was paralyzed in fear, so she wouldn't pose any real threat. Kabuto, Orochimaru called with a frown on his face. The faithful follower turned to his lord in response, "Take Kimimaro out of here, I don't want him to get hurt. As soon as you're done with that, I want you to come back." "We'll be done," Kabuto said with a nod. The medic lifted Kimimaro bridal style and broke into a run for the door. Jiraiya frowned and ran through hand signs. "Don't think I'll let you get away so easily. Fire style, fireball jutsu." The sage brought a hand to his mouth before unleashing a fury of fire at Kabuto's retreating form. As the attack got closer to Kabuto, thousands of snakes rose from the ground and made a strong wall in front of the Sound Ninja. The fireball crashed into the wall of snakes in a powerful explosion that lit the whole room. Smoke filled the area, leaving Jiraiya with no sight of either of his opponents. Suddenly, a small snake broke out of the smoke before being followed by thousands, creating a kind of giant wave. "Damn it," Jiraiya thought as he ran through hand signs. The snakes approached the sage, but before they could get close, a giant wall of mud rose from the ground. One by one the snakes disappeared in puffs of smoke before the wall finally came down. As soon as the wall came down, the snakes were greeted by a giant fireball that scorched them on contact. "You've gotten slower," Orochimaru said with a smirk as he moved to stand in front of Jiraiya. "It's a shame what time does to human bodies, is it not?" "Tsunade," Jiraiya said as he glared at Orochimaru, "take Shizune out of here and I'll catch up later." I can't," Tsunade responded, still frozen by the small pool of blood on the floor. Jiraiya cursed. He knew of Tsunade's fear of blood, but this was ridiculous. "Tsunade, you have to leave, things will get dangerous here and Shizune will be put in danger," he snapped. "Leave now." "Die!" Orochimaru yelled as a snake came out of his mouth. The snake launched at Jiraiya before opening its mouth, revealing a long sharp sword. The toad sage jumped away from the blade and ran through hand signs. Earth style, dark swamp. The ground beneath Orochimaru's feet turned to mud, throwing the sword off track. The snake summoner snarled before breaking into a smirk and turning into a pile of mud. Jiraiya gritted his teeth. If that had been a clone, then where was the real Orochimaru? The sage looked around before finding him dangerously close to Tsunade with his blade on hand. "Damn it!" Jiraiya cursed as he watched the sword descend upon Tsunade. Kabuto ran through the hallways of the base with an unconscious Kimimaro on his arms. He knew that leaving Orochimaru to fight two of the legendary Sannin was a bad move. The medic planned on leaving Kimimaro in one of the infirmaries he used before going to aid Orochimaru. It would be bad to have the snake summoner die so soon. The Sound Ninja approached a wooden door and kicked it open. He couldn't waste time. He entered the room and gasped in surprise. On the floor were two dead Sound Ninjas in a pool of their own blood with large cuts on their torso, killed by a blade if he had to guess. He hadn't been expecting this. Orochimaru had told him all about Jiraiya's skills and he never mentioned him using a sword, meaning that he had an accomplice. "Wind style, air bullets," exclaimed a voice. Kabuto turned to his right and saw the approaching attack. "An easy dodge," he mused with a smirk on his face. The Sound Ninja jumped away from the attack, but his eyes widened when he felt a foot connect with his back. The power behind the kick rocked his whole body, making him drop his hold on Kimimaro. Kabuto was knocked against the floor while Kimimaro fell lifelessly to the floor in a loud thud. Kabuto quickly stood up and looked around the room. There was no sign of anyone there, meaning that whoever attacked was using stealth to his advantage, a smart move indeed. He watched as a figure jumped down but stayed in the shadows. "Got him," Kabuto thought with a smirk as he disappeared in a small poof of smoke. He reappeared next to the figure and his eyes widened. "And Naruto?" Naruto was taken aback by the sheer speed. It was certainly not genin level. He had been wrong about the Sound Ninja's strength. Kabuto smirked as he used his chakra scalpel to strike the blonde's heart. The attack made contact and life left Naruto's eyes. The Sound Ninja couldn't help but smirk at the fool, but his eyes widened when the blonde broke into a grin before dispelling in a cloud of smoke. "A clone?"
Kabuto exclaimed in surprise. Naruto appeared behind Kabuto with a swirling ball of chakra on his right hand.
Rasengan, he yelled as he brought the attack to Kabuto's back. Kabuto could do nothing as the attack dug into his back before launching him away from the blonde in a show of pure power. The sound ninja painfully crashed into the wall, feeling a few ribs break from the impact. He bounced off the wall and landed painfully on the ground, gasping in pain at the pain on his back and ribs. Naruto watched as Kabuto moved a little before he stopped moving altogether.
The blonde turned his gaze to the unconscious Kimimaro and frowned. What should he do with him? He walked over to the sound ninja and took out a kunai. Should I kill him? Naruto thought as he pointed the kunai at Kimimaro's face.
The ninja weapon moved towards the unconscious ninja's face, glinting slightly from the light of the room. Suddenly, a lone dripping noise echoed through the room. Naruto's head snapped up and he looked around the room, trying to find the source of the noise. More dripping noises were heard and Naruto brought a hand to his cheek only to find it moist with tears. Why am I crying? He asked himself as he turned his gaze from the unconscious ninja to the corpses around the room. I can't hold it anymore.
I don't want to kill anymore.
Tears fell freely from Naruto's eyes. Guilt from taking other lives was finally too much to bear. This pain of guilt couldn't be contained no matter how much he tried. He was turning into a murderer. I know it's for my village, but I won't kill him, Naruto thought, referring to Kimimaro. I know I have to kill, he muttered to himself with his eyes darkened by his hair, but I won't turn into a mindless murderer.
I won't kill anyone who can't fight even if I'm asked to.
The blonde put the kunai away and turned to the door leading to Orochimaru's chamber. I'll show mercy whenever I can or else I'll go insane with all this guilt. With that the blonde left the room in order to go to his master's aid. Kabuto squirmed on the ground. That damned blonde had improved. He had been hurt for underestimating Naruto, but that would never happen again. He was an elite ninja after all. Medical chakra surged through his body, healing all of the wounds, but not completely. The attacks he had taken would take time to heal. That damned brat, Kabuto muttered with a smirk on his face, he would have the last laugh. Naruto wouldn't get away with hurting him like this. The damned fox would die in the end, and he would make sure of that.